What it is? How's it going, everybody? Today we're going to do another installment of the Let's Make a series that we started by making a reality TV show. Now we're going to make a horror movie. We're going to talk about all the things we'd like to see in horror movies that me, Jonathan, and Alex want. It's going to be fun. You're going to hear us talk about all types of stuff. And if you want to know what we're going to say, there's only one way to find out, and that's to sit back, relax, grab a snack, grab a beverage, and listen on in to the first ones to die.
Hey everyone, welcome to the First Ones to Die podcast. We hope you're having a great day, week, month. It's October, so better get in your spooky season festivities soon.
Spooky
the month ends,
season,
y'all.
y'all.
You know it'll end soon. It'll go by before you know it.
Call Demons Anonymous.
That's right. I am here with Alex and Jerome. How are you both doing? Alex, how you doing?
I'm dying. It's freaking
It's
October.
hot everywhere.
It's freaking October. It's like 75 degrees outside. I'm sweating and I'm using a giant fan. It's got dinosaurs on it. I'm very happy for it. And I'm dying. But other than that, I've been okay. Oh, never mind. I was going to say I started a show, but I'm going to wait to talk about that. I just finally finished binge watching, although Taskmaster. I don't know why that's such a tongue twister for me. New Zealand edition, and it's just it's so funny. And somebody was like, "Well, it comes from the British one," and I'm like, "Am I gonna miss a plot point or something if I watch the New Zealand one first before I watch the British one?" I think I get the gist of what's going on without having to watch the first seasons or series of the British one. But I mean, my week's been kind of slow. I got a new computer. I'm very excited about it. I'm very happy. I know my poor little laptop, again, I was using it for everything. And finally, it's now got a break again, and I can use it for intended purposes, such as actually gaming. I'm hoping to get into Baldur's Gate. Is that what it's called? Baldur's Gate?
As long as you have a strong laptop, you can play it because it is a kind of a big game. So
that's why I literally had to move everything over to a whole new computer to actually use it.
Yeah, so if you download it, it is great. It's fun. But if you download it and it's not working, it might just be because your computer needs to be upgraded or something like that. That's why I bought my PS5, because I'm hitting the point now where there are a lot of games I want to play, and my computer's not strong enough with everything I have on it on top of the games I have on it.
Luckily, I think I only have like one game, and it's called Lake. It's the one where you're a post office person. There is another game I do want to play. It's another cozy game, but it's about dying, and you go like reap souls. It looks really cool, and I'm excited to play that one. But Baldur's Gate, right?
Baldur's Gate 3. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is the one Lauren has mentioned. She says it's super fun, and I want to give it a try. And luckily, my laptop is very strong. It's newer, so it has been updated and upgraded. And I actually just need to download the game. But I've also been lazy with that because it's been so freaking hot lately. I'm dying. I'm not made for the heat. Ironically, I am Mexican, but I'm not made for this type of heat. Also, my skeleton crew with me. I'm ready for spooky season. This one's always been George. He hasn't been named. I keep meaning to take him to work. He scared the shit out of me, though, because I forgot he was sitting in my bed. And I was like, what the fuck is that in the corner? But I haven't thought of a good name for that one. If you guys can think of a good name, let me know.
Drop it in the comments. It's
weirdly hard naming skeletons. Yeah, because what do you name a skeleton? His name is George.
Oh.
Mo. You can't rename him. He's been here since like last year.
Very well. Mo and George, or Joe and George.
Joe and George. I think that's... Hopefully our listeners can maybe give me a better suggestion than Joe and George. What about you, Jonathan? How's your week been?
Good. It's been good. Last night, I saw a play at the Geffen. It's called The Engagement Party, and it's in previews right now. And it was good. It started off, I was like, Are we gonna keep this whole pace throughout the entire show? Mind you, it was only an 80-minute show, so like less than an hour and a half, which is super fast for anything, especially a play. Especially seeing as like there have been plays put on at the Geffen that I was in that was 7 hours long. But I'm not complaining because
And it was
I
2 days.
right. um,
I mean, that's how I
and
felt
then
whenever whenever people are like, want to watch Hamilton? And it's like, I would, but that's like a dedication. That's 2 hours.
yeah,
That's like damn near 3 hours long of play to watch, including, I guess, intermission. But the intermission is only 2 minutes, so it's a lot. And that's not even
yeah.
the full thing. They cut some songs.
And there was a show at the Geffen that I saw a couple months ago that was over 4 hours long. I got there 7:30. We didn't leave until like almost midnight. But that show was incredible. It was worth every single second. But this show, 80 minutes, it was starting off a little like, okay, I don't know if I can get into this. But then something happens and it's like, okay, oh, I'm invested. And then the 80 minutes, just the rest of the 80 minutes just flies by. So yeah, I had a good time.
What was like the summary of the play, or like?
So basically, this couple, this very wealthy couple, or you should say the guy is very wealthy. They just got engaged. They're like in their 30s, and they're having an engagement party, which I guess is a thing. And they have the woman's parents over, and then they have a couple of friends over, and like I said, they're very wealthy, so they're showing off the engagement ring. And then all of a sudden, wine gets spilled. Everyone's trying to help clean it up and everything. After they clean up the wine, the engagement ring, which costs $300,000, mind you, goes missing. So chaos ensues.
It's
Things
like a
happen.
1-bedroom condo in Seattle.
Right. So yeah, that happens. But oh my gosh, the set was so incredible because like it's portraying this couple who's very wealthy. They're like home. So the set, it rotated. It like was on, like, speaking of Hamilton, it was like on a moving stage. So when they went back to the kitchen, it moved and it like rotated like 180 degrees, and you saw just the kitchen, and then it rotated like a whole nother 180 or whatever, and you saw the patio and like the upstairs and everything. It was really cool. It was really cool.
That sounds
So that
really
was
cool.
yesterday.
I love it when plays have like interactiveness like that, because I've talked about my love for like the minimal stage nowadays, because sometimes plays just do too much. Although even with the minimal staging, the people behind the sets are doing insane stuff that make it look even more minimal. But to have like that, because the play I saw with Monica was Sweeney Todd, and they had that, but only for like certain parts of the play. It's not the whole set turn, but like his like where he worked to the home was like on the same thing, and I was like so impressed by that. The people behind the scenes do so much work.
Really?
Well, that's the
Amazing.
thing. Having like the like production team behind you is like the biggest and best things you can have for any like theater production, because like a show's only as good as your production crew. Like, it's, you got best actors in the world, but if like them sets ain't moving like they supposed to, and the props aren't coming out the way they supposed to, and all that stuff, it's gonna be a mess. Especially if you have line that's very involved, where where timing is key. Mm-hmm.
Exactly. So props to the set designers, the prop
I thought
masters.
You were gonna say props to the props team, props people.
Right.
Hey.
I was about to, but gotta give everybody their props. Yeah. So yeah, that was yesterday. Tomorrow, I'm looking forward to Big Brother UK starting back up after, I talked about this a couple weeks ago, but after like a 4-year hiatus, it's coming back. So I'm really excited about that. Jerome, How has your week been?
I'm good. Just had a celebration thing with Ari. I won't share too much because I do want to keep some of my private life private. But we ended up going to a 5-star, five course, 5-course vegan restaurant here in Seattle called Harvest Beat, I think it's called. It's really interesting. All the food was good, and it's like, just like a traditional 5-course restaurant where there's no substitutions. You don't, and you just read the menu. You pay for it, like, and you don't pick nothing off a menu. It's just whatever they're serving that night for the 5 courses, and everything was pretty good. The only thing I didn't like, I thought was like, and this is just a preference thing, not so much that they did anything wrong. Is that, of course, it being a 5-course meal, they have the wines are specifically for each course. They have like a set amount of wines for each course. We instead did the non-alcoholic option, so they had some special like herbal elixirs that they had made instead for us that went with each course, and some of them were really good, and then some of them were just like not feeling it. One in particular was just like basically like carrot juice mixed with something else, and I was like, I'm not feeling this. I don't like carrot juice in general, but it was just so earthy. So again, it's like, it's not that they didn't do anything wrong, and it's just my personal taste palette type thing. But overall, great experience. Can't recommend it enough. Harvest Beat, if you're looking for a fancy vegan play. And also, it's not very fancy. Like, me and Ari dressed up, but you don't have to. It's very like kind of like business casual is kind of the vibe they're going for. So if you want to show up in like a blazer, but then like an open white shirt and some jeans or something, like that's kind of their vibe. And they're cool in that they like you, when you set your reservation time, they wait for everybody. So before anyone eats, like once everybody arrives, unless someone cancels or something or it's just too late, but if everyone's on their way and everyone makes it on time, and they fill up the restaurant, and then they close up doors, and that's the group that we're serving tonight. So it was a really cool experience. So that was fun.
Did you fear for your lives at all, like in the menu? That's the last.
No, but I did say that. I was like, now I can't think about this without thinking about the menu. She's like, no, it's okay. We're not rich enough.
She's not wrong. She's not wrong. I was thinking also, if that's like kind of a thing that appeals to you, you guys should try, because I've been wanting to try it. You guys should try the one where you dine in the dark.
Yeah, I've seen that and heard about it. I've been intrigued.
I always want to try it, but I just know I'm going to knock something over and spill things. Or like, I'm going to do something that's just going to end up injuring myself or someone. That's my biggest fear.
Being able to see what I'm eating. I want to look at it.
Although apparently people say that everything. Right, they say that like the food tastes better because they can actually focus on, there's no distractions and everything. That's what people say, at least.
But yeah, so that was fun. I am currently working on a project for the podcast. It'll go up on the YouTube channel exclusively. Right now, we're still in solidarity with the SAG strike. The WGA strike is over, so we're not talking about too many shows, and it's show related, so I won't mention it now. But I'm working on it's a big project. It's kind of going to take a while for it to hit the YouTube channel, but just know, like, I have be on the lookout, audience. So subscribe now, so that way you don't miss it when it does come out. But it's like my own personal thing that I started on a whim that now I'm like dedicated to finishing. So yeah, been doing that, and that's pretty much it. Just working. It's been a relatively regular week, but no complaints, so it's good.
Well, you know what some people might complain about? Horror movies and how bad they are. So to combat that...
Which is a weird thing, because actually horror movies as of late have been pretty great.
Sure.
We've been getting some good ones. He gets some duds too. No, he's still been getting some duds, but we've gotten more successes than duds as of late. Mainly because of streaming. streaming's been helping a lot to get some like really decent horror movies. But to your point though, they won't be as good as ours that we come up with tonight.
Right. We want to keep the trend going of good horror films, and we want to create our own horror movie. So if you listened to our episode a couple weeks ago, we made a reality show, and in that we talked about some of our favorite reality show tropes, what type of reality show we would create if we could create our own reality show. We threw out a couple ideas there. So we're pretty much going to just do the same thing here. It's going to be, pretty conversational, and hopefully we can make a winner that the studios will pick up when the strike ends. Keywords. So does anybody have any starters? Anything to start us off with? What your horror movie might be?
Technically, I wrote a horror short back in the day, when I was in school in my scriptwriting class. Originally, it was, and also, mind you, this was before Jennifer's Body came out. So, I think it came, or actually, no, I think Jennifer's Body had already came out, but I wanted to kind of go at a different angle. But it was called Angel Cake, and it was about this girl who her name is
There's a YouTube
Angel.
channel called Angel Cake Entertainment that I listen to sometimes, and they talk about the challenge. Sorry.
Oh, interesting. And it's about a girl named Angel. Well, actually, it's about her friend named Jennifer, and her friend is Angel. And Angel is kind of like a glutton, but she always looks beautiful. She always looks ravishing, beautiful. But whenever she comes over to her house and stuff, like she just chows down everything in the fridge. She's just a glutton. Like all she does is eat food. There's also a fun thing where all the people, like I'll get to it anyway. So anyway, her and Jennifer are friends, and Jennifer finds out that her boyfriend is cheating on her, and so she breaks up with him. And also, meanwhile, there's on the news, there's a few cases of missing peoples. And then you later find out that Angel is a cannibal, and how she's been keeping her youthful glow and everything is that she gets more radiant by eating the flesh of people. The fun thing about it, though, is going to be like a fun, kind of campier horror story in that, and also the twist was going to be that her next victim is Jennifer's ex. Who cheated on her and stuff. But also there's going to be a fun thing where all of her victims have food related names. Like the guy who's missing on television is named Graham, as in graham crackers. And so all of them are going to, including Jennifer's ex, all of them are going to have food related names in relation
Chip.
to, yeah, like Chip or something, or, trying to think of what else is, huh?
Ginger.
I'm trying to think of like food names, like Ginger,
which I think could be fun. I think Angel Cake could be a fun horror movie, but we definitely have to, the reason I never finished it was because Jennifer's Body came out, and I was like, people are gonna see this and immediately think Jennifer's Body, even though she's not a demon, but still, there's supernatural elements to the cannibalism and everything. So it's maybe one day, but maybe if I can figure a way to make it work.
I think that we could have made a horror movie about our time at Pacific Science Center in the IMAX theater, and not
with the dinosaurs coming to life.
Oh well, that too, but just the environment. With how the environment was, the fact that we worked in a basement, the fact that we worked until midnight, sometimes 1 a.m., and no supervision, and just alone, and with all these random I think there could be something in that.
Yo, what if the Tin Man came to life and hunted us down with his axe?
That Tin Man moved. I swear to God, that Tin Man moved. He turned a little bit every day.
For context,
audience, I don't.
there was a statue of the Wizard of Oz Tin Man in the Boeing IMAX theater. Is currently, I think, still there, maybe. But it's so when we say the Tin Man, we literally mean the Tin Man.
And he was angled too, so he's like this. He has the like axe, and he's angled, like he's gonna swing it. No, I swear, I don't care that I was like working 2 jobs and going to school full time and maybe not sleeping all nights, but he moved. Right? No, I was gonna say that there was a night. It was either with one of you. It was one of the really long movies, and I forget what it was. But it let us out like at 1:30 in the morning after it was finally done. Somebody forgot to tell the staff not to turn off all the lights in the upper part of Boeing where our theater was. And so when we came out, almost all the lights were off. And we're like, how are we supposed to leave the building? Nobody had told the staff that we were going to be there past like 1 in the morning.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder what movie it was. I feel like it was Dunkirk. Dunkirk was a long movie, wasn't it?
No, it's short. That was Dunkirk's like thing. Those people were like, Christopher Nolan can make a short movie.
It was one of those movies that were like
2.5 hours long.
Yeah, it was like a movie that was closing on like 3 hours. We had 3 I remember we had 3 showings of it, and eventually we cut it down to 2 because it's like, who's coming to who's wanting to leave the theater at like 1:30 in the morning for this movie? That Tin Man moved, I swear to God. But yeah, I could see where you mean. Like, yeah, we were in the basement. Sometimes we didn't have the best cell reception. Creepy things happened there all the time. And then the concession stand would leave, so it'd basically be like 2 people down there alone.
Movie theater ushers who were alone with this audience full of people, and one security guard that had like a 5-minute walk to get to us anyways.
I thought about
Stuff
zombie
could happen.
scenarios
We would sometimes
all the time.
leave early.
Yeah, I mean, especially because we had the doors that closed basically like because the emergency exit closed with like a like the one on halfway up the ramp closes like a sliding door, and then of course the concession stand also closes like a sliding door. And I was in my head, I was just like, we have like lockdown protocols. What if there are zombies in here or something, and we'd be trapped in the theater and we have to sustain ourselves on popcorn?
Oh yeah, that was always a conversation. Like, how long could we survive down here with the popcorn and the hot dogs?
We always were thinking about like IMAX is its own faction. If it becomes post-apocalyptic, telling you now, IMAX sticking together, but everybody else, they gonna have to like, I don't know, make some rations or make some deals if they want to get any of this popcorn or hot dogs or whatever.
It also became a thing where like I remember, I don't know who told me, where they're like somebody, because the other employees in the museum at the Pacific Science Center used to be able to get popcorn for free. Just got to come down, get a little bag. Somebody told me, or they heard it from somebody else, that people would feel uncomfortable coming down because they're like, oh yeah, everybody would just kind of stop and stare at us as we came down. I'm like, yeah, because they're like they're in our space. You're supposed to stay up there, ma'am. You're not supposed to come down here unless you're coming to see a movie. And I was like,
yeah, like
when people would
come down for like their popcorn or whatever.
Yeah, it's still in their work vest. Apparently, I didn't know I was doing this, but I feel like I probably had done it. We would all just kind of like look at them like, what are you doing down here? We're watching you. Get out of here.
Well, that's because we would have to look to make sure they weren't a guest or whatever. And then when we realized they weren't a guest, we were like, oh, hey.
Yeah, because I didn't talk to anybody besides like besides ushers. I didn't talk to anybody.
There could be something in like, it's a late movie and the theater's packed.
Well, I've thought about
a zombie outbreak happens and there's no way for us to escape, and all of a sudden, we're just sitting out there. The doors just open and people are screaming bloody murder. And we realize there's a zombie outbreak and there's no way out.
See, I've not in the Pacific Science Center location, but I have thought about this. I would love to see a zombie movie during like the 1900s. And I mean literally the 1900, like 1902 or something like that. And the reason why is because I would love to see a zombie movie where, and it's like, my pitch for the movie would be, it's just one zombie. There's not like a horde or anything like that, but it's just they don't understand it. They don't understand how to defeat this thing. They don't even have anything that matches the concept of what a zombie is, so they don't think to just go for the head. And it's just getting
Weren't they
around
brutal back then, though?
Like
There is
fighting
a
people.
movie kind of like that, actually. It is very, of course, low budget. Not many people know it exists. And when I tell you the title, you're going to kind of see why nobody knows it exists. But Christian and me, my sister, are very big zombie fans, so we kind of know all zombie movies. It's Abraham Lincoln versus zombies.
Why does that sound familiar? I feel like I've heard that.
Because there was a movie called Abraham Lincoln versus the Vampire Hunter. It kind of came out in...
Yeah, it's based off a book.
Not necessarily competition. There's a book? It's a book?
Yeah, that's what it's based off of, is a book.
It's a weird concept for a book and a movie. But anyway, there was a low-budget version made, of course, of him fighting zombies in a small town. And he's just swinging his axe around. He figures it out to, like... He chops off their head, but they're still moving. So he's like, oh, well, let me see what happens if I just smash in its brains. And it works, so...
Yeah, the book
kinda
came
like that.
out in 2010. So it was like... And then the movie came out shortly after. So it's not like it took long for the movie to come out.
I don't want any horror films with, like, kids in it.
Mm-hmm.
Or, like, teenagers. Because if they
'Cause
have
they
a
ruin
teenager,
everything.
if they have... Kind of, but, like, so they came out with a remake of a movie from the 80s. I won't say what it is because it's still quite new. But basically, they turned the whole story from, terrifying to they're trying to make this teenage girl a heroine. She's going to save everybody. Y'all are fighting a demon. No. That is a child.
Well,
What
she
strength
could do
no,
it.
she is
What's
a child.
why can't she do it? Just because she's young doesn't mean anything. You have kids starting businesses right now, all right? There are adults
That's
who can't
true.
even accomplish that.
The kids now, I will give you that. The kids nowadays are a different breed. But, like, it's just, once you see, like, a teenage girl, if it's, like, a teenage horror film, yes, I can understand it. But if you see, like, just one singular, like, teenager, you're like, oh, okay, they're gonna save the day, or they're gonna stop the big bad. So it kind of kills the horror films. So I don't want to see, if I'm making a horror film, and plus I don't like when kids, in movies in real life too, get hurt or tortured for the sake of, like, a horror film or the plot or anything. Like, leave the children alone. Just leave them alone.
They're innocent children.
Right? They're just your babies. I'm growing softer in my older age for children. I still don't want
Your
any,
older
nor do I
age.
want them around me. Yeah, but now I don't find them as, like, ugh. Now I'm like, all right, you're not bad. But I would horror movie that I would love to make is it has been made before, but it's a story I think can be a little more well done. Is the one where a person is living in the household in secret, like in the attic or things like that.
Yeah, those are always creepy.
Those are always good because you're supposed to be home and say. I feel like that just hits you, like, on another level. But a lot of the ones I've seen are like, oh, I'm noticing little things. It's not necessarily the person living with them is, like, trying to screw with them. It's just they forget to clean up after themselves and then eventually turns violent. I want one where they're, like, purposely living there for, like, the victim in a way, and, like, messing with them psychologically, and kind of the person keeps moving and the person living in the household moves with them. And eventually they're like, I think I'm possessed. And they're like, nope. There's a man in my walls. There's a man in my walls. I keep moving houses, but he keeps moving with me. That explains everything. So that kind of hits on, like, a paranormal level, because eventually, the person's thinking, oh, it's a ghost. There's something following him around. It's a spirit. And when there's a logical explanation, well, I wouldn't call it logical, because there's a person living in your attic basement. But I also love it because you get those shots of, like, the main characters, like, standing and looking relatively normal in their space, and then in the background you have just that creepy figure that we've all seen in the nighttime, whether we're getting up to use the bathroom or we shut off all the lights and we're like heading to bed. We all see that creepy figure and we always wonder, is it real or not? And to have that like lingering feeling all the time, moving from house to house, having that on you on edge, I feel like it would make a great horror film.
That would. I just thought of something that would be this would be kind of messed up, and let me know if you've ever watched anything that had this kind of concept. But it was called it would be called Dilemma or something like that. and and there is some sort of killer, and they present you with this dilemma. They're going to show you 10 pairs of people that you know. One at a time, he's going to go from least important to most important in your life. And out of these pairs, you have to choose one to survive. He's going to kill the other one. If you don't make a decision, he kills both. So you have to go through all 10 pairs or 5 or however many and make the decision who you want to live or die.
That sounds like The Circle. But
but I was gonna say there is a streaming service which I have seen. I have watched that.
Or not The Circle. Because The Circle is the social media thing, right?
Right. I think it's just called Circle.
Yeah.
It's just called Circle.
Yeah. But
sorry,
it's like
I said the title, that's my bad. But but it is yes, I have seen a movie with that concept. The idea of like, but that was more of a community thing, not like a singular person.
And the people didn't know each other. They had to like vote. It's kind of like that question where it's like, if your family was drowning and you only had one life jacket, who would you give it to? That kind of like that sort of thing.
None of them. I don't want one of them bitter at me, so let them both die.
I want to do, I don't know why, but I'd always want to do, especially because there's not many of them, it's like a horror comedy. I feel like that'd be more my vibe. And maybe it would be something similar to the vein of Demons Anonymous, where it's just like, it's just a demon out here trying to possess people, and they're failing terribly. They keep calling the priest, or their methods just keep getting weird. It's like, look, I tried to possess them using a streaming service, but it didn't work. Of course it didn't work. You didn't get enough subscribers. What the hell are you doing up there? It keeps sending you out, Zabellabub, or something, whatever his demon name is.
Well, there's like a scene in Good Omens where two demons are like, oh, I whispered into a priest's ear. And another one was like, I made a man look at another woman besides his wife. We'll have his soul in like 25 years. And Crowley's like, I brought down the entire cellular network. Everybody's going to go into a rampage. And they're like, okay, what does that do that you brought down the network? It's like, we're going to have lots of souls because they're going to do lots of bad things because they're all angry because they got no phones. And they didn't understand. I think it's hilarious, the modernization of like the evilness, but not them understanding how brilliant that actually was. I feel like that would definitely like line into it. It's like, yeah, I'm trying to use YouTube, but what content are you putting out? Like, what are you saying on, these social media platforms that are getting you any views? You have to fight against the algorithm on TikTok. Watching a demon struggle to fight against the algorithm of TikTok would be great.
Oh, also, I've always wanted to do a story, like a horror story on an island resort. And I had one time I had a nightmare that was like a horror movie on an island resort. I still remember it vaguely. I don't remember why I was there, but I do remember that it was like, there were like these crab demon things that came out the water. There was a man there with like red and purple eyes who was like the head of the resort and stuff. And he'd like follow you around. And there was it was just like spooky. Like, especially because the crab creatures had like these tendrils that were in their body. So their body would open up almost like a clam. And then these tendrils would come out and grab you and snatch you in. And then like put you in their like little fleshy mass part and just suck you in and stuff. And I'm like, which I'm not a huge like gross out horror fan, but I do think it can be very effective. Like when you have like some gross out stuff. and that's something I've never seen before. Crabs have never been scarier in a horror movie than that.
Did you know there's crabification? It's animals that aren't crabs turning into crabs. That is a thing
Wait,
that
what?
is. It's a phenomenon that happens. A lot of sea animals or sea creatures, fish, all that stuff, will actually start to grow claws. It's called crabification. It's one of
Oh, I thought you were gonna
just
say they
randomly.
grow like a shell or something, and then it like makes them like
No,
hunchback or something like that, like because they got
no,
they got
it's like
this
a
outer
fish
shell.
with claws.
Oh.
It's just animals that turn into crabs for no reason at all.
Makes me think of like the zombies in The Last of Us, or which they're not really zombies, but it's the closest equivalence we have. But the clickers. Have either of you played Last of Us, or watched the show?
I watched the show.
Okay.
But we don't talk about the show. I went through the maze at Halloween Horror Nights,
The horror experience,
which is based on the game.
That's based off the video game. I mean, it's the same in the video game as it is in the show. But in the game, the idea is that it's that fungus that ants normally attract, but also other insects do too, where like it grows out of like it takes over their minds, makes them climb to like the highest point. It operates their body entirely, this fungus, and then as it grows out of the skull and splits your skull open. And it's why you see ants with those like weird fungal growths out of their head, like those pictures on Animal Planet and stuff. The idea in Last of Us is that that fungus has evolved to affect humans, which is why you have the main look of the clickers are the humans with that like fungal thing out growing out their face out both sides. And it's like, and I like, you saying that reminded me of that, where I was like the crab thing where I'm like, there's like stuff. I think that would make probably some interesting horror movies too. Is like the idea of like certain diseases or growths that exist in nature that only animals get, like or non-domesticated animals get, that if it were applied to humans, it'd probably be like the end of the human race.
Yeah, no, definitely we'd be out. There's actually a horror film I would love to see. Kind of is also like personal for me. Due to the fact that I have insomnia, I do hallucinate sometimes if I sleep. If I go with sleep for long periods of hours, it's due to basically micro napping, where your brain just starts acting like it's sleeping. It has micro naps. And sometimes you see weird shit when that happens. I would love a horror film, or I guess a psychological thriller, where you find out all those hallucinations were actually real. Like everybody's like, yeah, the other night, and then you're like, oh no, the monster that I thought was there is there. So it's like a fuck you, but also let's get the fuck out of here. And there's like some weird, like, yeah, I'm justified, but at the same time, I don't want half the things I have hallucinated to become real and start terrorizing everybody. I think that wouldn't be cool and be terrifying, but I think that would be it would kind of be a psychological thriller / horror film, depending on the angle you're looking at it. So that one would definitely be a split category. It's hard sometimes when you want horror movies that are more on a psychological level, depending on like how it's written or which way you're going with it, can fall into either category so quickly. And it's like, is this actually a horror film, or is this a psychological thriller?
Yeah, sometimes they can be interchangeable sometimes, like psychological thriller and horror. Sometimes the line is blurred. Sometimes they're on distinct sides, but sometimes the movies can be like blurring the lines.
What about a weird horror movie? Sorry, go ahead, Jonathan. I cut you off. I'm sorry.
Oh no, what were you gonna say?
I was gonna say something weird, like a horror movie where the floor just eats people now. Wake up one day, the floor just eats people.
Oh, so we have to like construct new like technology so that people don't touch the floor.
Well, no, it's just like maybe like it's a movie where a person's just operating their house. They go to bed. When they wake up the next morning, anything that falls to the floor just gets consumed. Like they accidentally drop something down there and they see it just get sucked in, and they're like,
it's like real life. It's like a movie version of Floor is Lava.
Yeah. Where it's just like, you can't leave. What do you do? Because you can call somebody, but they can't get to you. If they do, they're going to get consumed. You can try to get to the window, but it's too far away. Yes,
And that's when we start evolve. That's when humans start evolving to fly.
But yeah, I mean, it'd be like a psychological thing where it's like, is the floor even doing it? Maybe it's just something in my mind.
I was gonna say I would love a good horror musical, and we have Rocky Horror Picture Show, but I don't really see that
Or
as
Sweeney
horror.
Todd.
Yeah, but to me, I want like something that's straight up like terrifying, but also has amazing music.
See, I feel like it can't be though. Like unless it depends on the music.
And I have one example, and it's not even meant to be that. This movie is not even meant to be horror. But The Wiz, that is my example for something that can be scary and also have great music.
See, but
it can be done.
That's not intentional. People just find The Wiz
exactly
kind of spooky and weird.
If it's not intentional, that means what can you? Oh, I think Alex is frozen.
No, she's just looking at something.
Okay, there we go.
Because I'm trying. There was a story I heard, and I was like, I'm trying to kind of find it real quick because I was like, that would have made a great horror show. But I'm listening. I swear to God, I'm listening.
Oh no, I legit thought you were frozen for a second.
I just think I think it depends on the music. Like, you know what I mean? Like because there's certain things about like music in horror movies is a weird thing, because it's like if you're too campy, your horror movie goes from being like scary to campy. Like, because when we think of Rocky Horror Picture Show, we don't think of it as scary. We think of it as like a campy, fun movie to watch with like some creepy imagery here and there.
That's because there are musical numbers that are meant to be musical. They're meant to like have that musical Broadway flair. If you added a particular type of music to a horror movie, that can elevate it to another level. Think like a Billie Eilish song. Like, think if Billie Eilish did a soundtrack for a horror movie, that would go off. So I think it can be done. She already creates like haunting music as is. And she's worked in like movies with like music numbers too. She's done James Bond. She's done Turning Red.
Barbie.
So I think she could do Barbie. I think she could do a horror movie. Musical.
I would love a song by Hoser in a horror film.
Oh, yes. He makes haunting music too.
His music hits you in your soul. Yeah, his music would definitely be great in a horror film.
Or if it's like in the opposite, like if it's in the style of The Wiz, like you just got you have like a Motown sort of style, but it's horror.
Then it would be campy. Would be really good. Like if it's like a Motown like funk rhythm like thing, it can't be too up. I do feel you on the Billie Eilish thing. That could be cool. That could be an interesting horror musical like vibe, something different. If it's like Motown music, it'd be too happy. I would be like, I do not fear for any of these people's lives. If they have time to feel the funk and the R&B jams in the middle of this scenario, they are not really in danger.
Although I would love for somebody to run away to like Uptown Funk, like that's playing in the background.
Right.
So, like, I know we're supposed to be scared, but
it'd be that juxtaposition. Like,
I mean, even Jordan Peele couldn't make it work. He had to make all his art, like all his black classics, sound creepy to make it work for his horror movie.
But they were still bops.
Were they though?
Yeah.
Do you be playing?
They got stuck in your head.
Like I got 5 on
no,
Haunted Edition.
It's already
just
stuck
when
in my
you
head.
Be out and
now I'm mad at you because I didn't have it stuck in my head, but now I'm gonna have it stuck in my head now.
Yeah, that's gonna stay.
Yeah, no, you have the song. You don't have the version that was in Us stuck in your head, do you?
But imagine if it goes from like that happy upbeat style, then all of a sudden just starts slowing down and goes, and it's like use 5 on it for example. I got 5 on it, do do do, and then just slows down. It's like, oh, what's about to happen? Who's behind that? Yeah, that's how you get it. And then remember when we watched? I was about to talk about the show, but remember when we watched a show and on a streaming service, and it was an anthology, and it was recent, and There was an
Most
episode
recent.
where
See, but that was supposed to be more B movie than
you
like,
know what I'm talking about, though.
Yes, I do know what you're talking about. But that was more B movie than it was like straight up horror. That was more like supernatural dark fantasy, which is like two different things.
But that could be in the horror genre, though.
It can be. It can be. There's some crossover there for sure.
Yeah. So I'd like to see a little bit more of that, like kind of relating to the musical thing, like get a little blaxploitation in with the horror, like the cross genres of blaxploitation and horror, or like, I don't know, martial arts and horror, just something like that. Just I want to see the genres like.
If we're going for a black exploitation in this film, I would like to see Cat Williams in it. I think he would be kind of funny in that.
I don't know if I could take him seriously.
It depends on how we're going towards this. If it's like going
like
more towards
comedy.
Yeah, a little bit more campy, horror comedy musical going on. Definitely Cat Williams. I think he'd be great. I think he'd be the guy who explains stuff, but he's like, y'all not gonna listen to me. Go on, do whatever you want.
I'll tell you, it'd be good in a black horror movie. And I guess in this year he was kind of in one, Lakeith Stanfield.
Oh yeah,
I mean, he's been in one.
Get Out.
He's been in one. Now that I'm thinking about it, like he's perfect for like black horror. Well, just horror in general, really. But if you have to be more specific with black horror, Lakeith Stanfield, he just has that like spooky vibe, you know, where like. Yeah. Because he's a leading man. He can do almost anything. Like he's been in a romantic he's been in like a romance movie. He's been in action movies. He could do almost anything. But I think he just has that like chill vibe about him that he can be like he could either be the victim in a horror movie, like the main character victim, or he could be the killer or whatever. He could do both. Heck, Coleman Domingo proved that he could do both.
Mm-hmm. He has a scary voice.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like when the actors have like deep or scary voices.
Coleman Domingo's voice was scary. Like he was creepy. Yahya Abdul-Mateen also had a kind of scary voice too. Sorry, Alex.
No, you're fine. You're fine. Go ahead. You were talking about scary voices. I was like, yeah, I don't like it in horror films when like. It's the ominous character who's trying to, warn you about what's going to happen. Like in that one movie that traumatized all the millennials with their scene. Anyway, there was the one black actor, I forget his name, who was Tony the mortician.
Yeah, Tony Todd.
Where he had the perfect voice for that, where it's nice, deep, and soothing, but he's like telling you, yeah, you're being stalked by death. You're all going to die.
I still love the idea that he is death. Like, that's a fan theory, is that in those movies, he is death. Like, that's why he's telling them the rules, because he's like, that's why every time they leave, he's always like, see you soon. Which is, in the movie, it's in reference to the fact that he's a mortician. So he's like, yeah, I'll eventually see you when you die. But a lot of people theorize that when he's saying that, he's like, see you soon. It's him saying like, yeah, I told you the rules, because I know you won't beat me. But I'm death. Like I'm going to see you all soon enough.
I would like a movie about death, but like not about death, but more so like those who carry the souls over to death, or like reapers, have they been called? Other than being like trying to collect their souls and everything in a really creepy way. People are like, "Oh, you're death," and I'm like, "Nope, no, I'm something else." So you got to come with me now. Or, I could leave your soul to torture, whatever. They're very nonchalant, but they're also like, I've been doing this for like 1,000 years, so let's move it.
On the topic of people with scary voices, I was going to say the Law and Order guy. The guy who does the intro for Law and Order SVU in the criminal justice system. As a kid, I used to run for the remote to try to turn it before he started talking because he was scary. Like I hated it. His voice.
These are their stories.
It's very
cocoon.
It's
with just the black
screen.
Stern.
Yeah, it's a very stern.
Right.
That's why he got the job, and that's why he reads all of them.
Right.
I would love to see a Descent into Hell movie, but not what you're thinking. Like I think, although that would also be interesting to see a descent into the was it nine levels of hell or whatever, from like Dante's Inferno. Um, but I'm thinking more Viking hell, because hell in Viking mythology is like, it's not your stereotypical hell. First of all, it's cold. It's not hot. It's like icy. It's a forever like winter basically. But it's, you go to hell for like not being a warrior. Like if you die of old age, you go to hell. Like like hell is less of a place of punishment as much as more like a place of like lack of fulfillment. And I think it could be cool to like play around with that and have like creatures and stuff like from Viking mythology in hell, like Draugr or whatever, that you have to fight. Granted, Draugr exists above ground, but still, like you could play around with it. I mean, it's mythology. You could do whatever you want, really. But I think that could be cool, like seeing someone try to escape hell, like with one L.
I would actually like that idea, but it's not just like the Viking hell, it's all hells. They find out that kind of all hells are real and connected in a weird way. Every religion's version of hell or in some form of damnation. So they have to get through like these different hells or survive them and figure out how do I either get back to my hell or get out. Because some religions, I do believe, are like, when you die. So what if there was like another version of their hell, where they're just kind of suspended in time, or like they're
American
just hanging out in darkness. Yeah. Oh, I haven't seen the show. I have read a quarter of that book.
Yeah,
I keep meaning to go back to it.
I saw a little
Relatable.
bit of the show. I haven't read the book, but it's pretty accurate. But in the book, no, I just meant it reminded me of that. In the book, all gods are real. My favorite version though being that Jesus is real, but Jesus, like as in like Jesus is a god, but there's multiple versions of Jesus. There's white Jesus, black Jesus, Mexican Jesus, like there's all, because it's like there is no Jesus that is like the one. Everybody's version of Jesus exists.
Well, like you see like in cartoons or something, where they're like they have the different versions of heaven. Like there's the Irish Catholic heaven, there's a Mexican Catholic heaven, there's Protestant heaven, there's like different forms. And it's like, okay, well you go to this one. I think that would be interesting to see the different levels of the afterlife, or different versions, I should say, not levels, connected all. So it's like technically all religions were right in their own way about the afterlife. You just,
It's just different versions.
depending on what you believe in, yeah.
Go through Hades, go through just hell in general.
Yeah,
that could be fun. It would be creepy too, because you can play around with the imagery a lot. Like, I mean, you could really play around with like what is the like what creatures look like, or demons or whatever you want to call them look like in each version of hell. Because like Hades has different demons, especially if you deep dive into the mythology or into different religious like beliefs and stuff. Because like, for example, like if there's Chinese mythology, they have a different, like Chinese and Japanese, they have their versions of like different demons and stuff, like the Oni in Japanese culture. There are specific demons that exist, and they're interesting, all of them, and they all do different things, and some of them aren't even like that bad. They're just like, they're more like vengeful spirits as opposed to ones that are dedicated to hurting people just because, So it's like you could play around, like if you're doing a thing where you're bouncing around through the different hells of different cultures and religions and mythologies, you could play around with some ideas of creature design too.
I would love to see a horror film, sci-fi horror film, because those aren't as common. I feel like in the 80s you could find a few more, but nowadays, we don't get any of those. And I love sci-fi and I love horror. To have my two loves together would be amazing for me. I don't necessarily have a story I would like to have as a horror film. I just more so know that I would like the genres to mix, because they don't often. But space is a terrifying thing. I mean, and to like be out there in the, darkness, not knowing if it's really empty to if it's, there's nobody out there, that terrifying thought. Either we're really alone or there are people or there are races or species out there that we haven't met yet. It's a cool concept. And I think with space or with space travel, there's so many different ways to scare somebody with it or bring out the horror in it. But then again, it's also that jump into when does it become psychological, like a psychological thriller, because a lot of it will be space madness, unless you enter like an alien or, this creature or somebody on the crew is actually a killer.
Yeah, I like the idea of maybe there's like a robot up there. Like, they're in space. There's a robot, and then the robot is like, I'm lonely. I wish to have a partner, and the humans deny them. So they're like, very well, I'll make one out of you. And so he starts trying to assimilate the crew members and turn them into robots. But to do that, he's going to have to rip apart the flesh part first and just take their brain and put it in a robot body or something like that.
Well,
it's very like
sci-fi.
It's very like
the
Five Nights at Freddy's,
but
the video game.
Yeah.
But but in space, which they have done. Well, no, they did Five Nights at Freddy's with like a space theme video game because it still takes place on Earth. But, because I think like one of my favorite sci-fi horror movies, I won't say the title, but it's the one starring Arnold Schwarzenegger. The first one. The second one's an action movie. But the first one is a horror movie. It's meant to be like sci-fi horror film. And I think I love that idea of like a man-made creature hunting down like its creator, but not a creature in that it's like an actual creature, but like a robot or something where it's like, I built you. Why did you do this to me?
What if there was one?
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah. Sorry, you were gonna go. Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're fine. I was just gonna say, yeah, I do want just more sci-fi horror films, because when I read like sci-fi books, there's a level of fear to them because sci-fi is bringing in the the unknown. What if we do work with robots now? AI is coming up, space travel. Listening into things we shouldn't be listening to. And even with like ghost hunting, there's such advancements in technology, like Ghost Files, which is on YouTube on the Watcher channel. They have all this tech now. They're like, oh, this picks up this and this picks up this. Well, what if all that equipment actually ended up opening something that shouldn't have been open? It's just interesting how technology is evolving when you're like trying to communicate with the dead, or when you're trying. Technology can be infused so well with horror films. I think a lot of times people go back to the basics, demons or things like that, but technology can be just terrifying without being fully like sci-fi either, where it can just be a simple like horror film. Like a demon possessing a robot.
Technology, especially nowadays, the technology can be horrific.
Series scares me on a daily. Series scares me on the daily. That is the correct way to say that. Because all of a sudden she's listening in.
I think something that could be interesting for a concept for a horror film would be if when you get killed by the killer, you die, but in this reality, you replace someone else's consciousness. So you die. No, well, kind of, but like you are another person. And I don't know what happens to that other person's soul or being. I haven't thought that far in advance. But you replace someone else's consciousness. And you're aware that you died. You're aware that you are something else. You're aware that you're somebody else.
I would actually going off of your idea, I think would be cool is a serial killer who's the ghost hangs around, like he kills him, and then you find out like, oh, the last person I killed wanted you dead. So either I kill somebody else or you're stuck with me. Like somebody else has to replace you for you to move on. Or you're just kind of stuck with me. but it's only if you choose somebody. If the serial killer just goes and kills somebody, doesn't automatically replace it. It's like, no, you have to pick my next victim or you can't move on. So they're like just trapped with him, watching him kill people. And it's that choice of like, oh, it comes down to like the dilemma of like, well, do I choose somebody to die? And it has to be an actual, like, somebody you know too. Or, pick somebody you hate to somebody who's like, I don't care for them. That one coworker in the office, be like, get her.
That was kind of like that episode of that anthology show.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you're right. Kind of like that.
It was kind of like that.
But but the person would already be dead.
Yeah.
I guess that's true. I was gonna see. I went the different direction, piggybacking off of that idea of like having a killer who, when they kill somebody, and I already have two titles in my head. Either the one title would be zombie, or the other title would be tag. The reason why is because when the killer kills somebody, they then become another killer, kind of like how tag works. You guys ever play tag like that, where like when you find somebody, now they have to help you find the rest of whoever's playing?
Yeah, it's like it's not transferred over, but you become a part of the
Wait a minute. I thought Evo wasn't COVID-19. It can't be transferred over.
I'm playing off of the idea that this is if it did work that way, this is how it would do.
Or did you ever play Sardines, where one person no, I'm thinking the opposite. Maybe I'm just thinking of hide and seek, where when you get found,
well, this is like hide and seek. Like, this is very much like that, where it's like everybody, like your other victims, like it's maybe like everybody's like in a location. One person is a killer, but he transfers his like once he and he has to kill you first. Like it's more like you're just a life husk now. Like you're not conscious, but like he's basically reanimating the body with like his evil. Just being like, now you go kill some people. It's like, and so that's why like it's like a zombie, but not really, because they're I guess like the other secondary killers are dead, but the main killer is alive. He's a live person. He's just transferring.
So it's almost like the fungal thing, where it's something else controlling the body.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like a human controlling the body, being like, well, we're gonna go murder it this way.
Yeah, and then the kind of like someone who kind of like the story arc is that one person who gets killed, they're like set on a mission or whatever to kill somebody they know or love, and then they have that thought in the back of their mind. They're like, wait, what am I doing? No, I can't kill this person. And then that starts the revolution of like whatever against the main killer or something.
That's gonna be like the third act twist. You gotta have like the main character survive for the longest time, and then and then the twist in the third act is they get killed, and so you're like, oh no, not so and so.
I do love it when they kill the main character, because it's always like they're gonna survive, and they make you bond with it, and then they take it all away. If I ever do publish any of the works I've written, I am one of those writers. I will rip your heart out with the main character. I'm absolutely one of those characters where you will hate me and I will enjoy it.
It's what needs to happen sometimes. That's why
I love a good story where there's no such thing as like a main character, where it's like the character you're following dies like in the first chapter, and you're like, what the what?
Yes, that's why a horror thriller film from the 1950s, 60s, woman gets murdered in the shower. That's why that was so successful, because everyone thought she was gonna like be throughout the whole movie, but she died within like the first quarter of the movie.
Hey, Drew Barrymore did it in a horror movie once.
Yeah, I was just thinking that.
Everyone thought because she was front and center on all the posters for that movie, and was the first person, like the first character in the movie. She starts the film and then gets murdered, and they were like, well, then who's the main character? Because Drew Barrymore was also the most famous person on that cast at that time. So it's
Subverting
doable.
expectations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But yeah, that one is a good concept though. I'm actually write that one. I'll get back to you if I actually make it make it into something. So if you see it pop up, audience, just know you heard it here first. I thought
okay,
Alex
she was
had been frozen
that time.
I thought she was
frozen that time.
Because in my head I was like, is she frozen or is she just not talking? She's gonna
return.
You were frozen that time.
Yeah, that time.
I got spooked.
Because that time you were staring at the camera like.
In all fairness, I have done that before though.
That's why I was confused. I was like, is she frozen or is it like? But hey, listen, that one actually, we might actually make that one a thing. Audience, comment below. Tell us if you wanted to see that movie or that story. I guess maybe we can make it a book or something. We'll all write it together.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Is it really Gandhi? What? I'll rewatch.
No, he's still talking about.
I have to do.
Still talking about the last movie we just pitched where the killer makes other killers out of their dead bodies.
Okay. I was like, I was gone. I do stare off into space a lot. I was telling my sister pointed that out one time. She's like, I was like, yeah, I was really tired, but I was fighting to stay awake. She's like, yeah, I could tell because you were just doing this for like a solid minute. I was like, my eyes were fighting me. I could get possessed at any time.
When that happens for me, I'll move around a lot. I'll try to keep myself like occupied, but it still doesn't work.
No, I see. I need to be scared awake. Like if I'm really tired and I'm just nodding off like this, like no matter what I do, I'm just going to keep nodding off till I fall asleep. But then if something shocks me, like my phone buzzing while I was asleep or something, it like, I don't know what it is. It's like it jolts my brain to be like, get up. Something's not right.
If I hear people arguing, and that's more so due to trauma, if I hear people arguing, then I can't, I'm like, all right, I'm up. I'm good. Which will happen sometimes because I like to sleep with my window open. And people walk down the street all the time. There was a dude yelling outside yesterday. I don't even know what he was yelling about. And I was like, shut up. It's like midnight, man. I know it's a Friday night, but shut up. Because I'm also close to a couple bars. So like I'll get those people that are just really happy at 2 or 1 in the morning when everything's closing. And it's like, well, thanks, man. I'm going to be awake now, and that's going to be everybody's problem.
I will, when I'm laying down, getting ready to go to bed, and I'm like just like scrolling on my phone. My phone is usually like off of my bed. I'll be laying on my side, and my phone is in my hand, like outside of my bed. And sometimes if I'm really tired, I'll like, actually this happens pretty often. I'll be falling asleep with the phone in my hand, and then eventually I'll drop the phone, and then the phone lands on my hardwood floor, and then it'll scare me, and I'll like wake up, and then I'll be like, okay, yeah, let me put this down and go to bed.
Cheddar often scares me because he likes to sometimes just be by my head. So I'll just suddenly feel like something grazing the top of my head. And so I'm like, oh God. And I look up and it's just him being like, oh, good, you're awake. You can pet me.
No, the thing I've been doing recently is I've been putting my alarm clock my phone, which is my alarm clock, underneath my pillow. So it vibrates the whole pillow and wakes me up.
There are pillows built like that you could probably, they're designed for people who are hard of hearing. I will get like spooked if somebody calls me. I actually had to set a rule with my sister and my mom. I'm like, unless somebody's dying, do not text me after 10 o'clock. If I see a text after 10, I'm thinking something's wrong. And it will be something stupid like, hey, do you know where this is? Did you have this last? Like, wait till morning. Like, I have normal job hours. I gotta try to sleep. Wait till morning. So I set a rule. I'm like, unless one of y'all dying, do not text me. And my sister has even been like, oh, I'll find these TikToks and I'll wait till like 10 a.m. to send everything to you. Like, it's not that hard.
Do you guys ever, when you're falling asleep, do you ever once in a while have those moments where when you're like falling asleep or like almost asleep and then all of a sudden you just like
Mhm.
for no reason at all. Isn't that so
Mhm.
weird? Like not even you had a bad dream or something. It's just like
It's the
it's
I'll
weird.
do that quite a bit. It's just your body's being like, hey, well, like you're falling asleep. Your own
Right.
body scaring you. I think
Well,
it's more
it's
towards
the
you,
simulation of
Jonathan, with the
falling.
pets. Yeah, it's a simulation of falling.
Mhm.
Has Gibson ever just scared the crap out of you while you were sleeping or like almost falling asleep? 'Cause Cheddar does it all the time.
No, I don't think he's never scared me. He sometimes he's done it once in a while where he's like put his little paws like on the side of my bed when I've been asleep, and I'm like, okay, what are you doing? And then there's been other times where I just wake up and he's just like standing there staring at me. But that
He'd
that
just be
doesn't
thinking to
happen very
himself, I could eat your
right.
ass right now. Nobody would even know.
He's like, one good bite and you'll go down. I find it creepy when the pets
But
stare at
that's
just a blank spot on the wall.
I know.
Like my heart, I'll be like, is that a bug? Is that a bug or a demon? What do you see? Which do I
You know, I
need to
see
get?
things.
The broom or like
But
a cross?
right. Thankfully he can't well he has the ability to jump on my bed if he really wanted to, but he's had so many near misses where he's almost fallen off while trying to jump on it that he's scared to jump on it unless I like guide him up there.
See, that's where
So
Blue
he
Bow's
doesn't
at,
jump
where
up there.
he tried to jump on my bed one time and he smacked his face right into the side of my mattress because he's not, it's not that he can't do it. It's that he's not strong enough right now. He
No.
doesn't exactly work out his legs. So he doesn't have really strong legs to jump really high up like that. I feel like if he did, he would be able to make it. But ever since then, he's scared to try. Now he'll just like, if he wants our attention on the bed, he'll like either wait at the bottom and just look up, waiting for us to acknowledge him, or if he can get an angle, because my shoes are also like right next to my bed, so he can't like get right next to the edge. But if it is clear, he'll just put his paws up and prop himself up on the bed. But we have to like pick him up and put him on the bed because he's too scared to try and jump ever again after that experience. And I'm like, I get it.
That's how you
Yeah.
learn. There was one
Right.
time Cheddar scared me so bad I actually pushed him off the bed. So he
Oh.
jumped up, but I wasn't ready for him to like, I guess jump. I was like, I guess half asleep or falling asleep or something. All of a sudden something jumped up on the bed and my reaction was to shove it off real quick. It took me like a solid second to be like, that was Cheddar. I just like hard, and I didn't push gently. I felt so bad afterwards because it was like a knee-jerk reaction where I'm just like, get it away from me, and then I was like, oh shit, that was my cat. So I had to get out of bed and give him treats because I felt so bad. I'm sorry, Cheddar. He doesn't care.
Oh.
He's asleep. Speaking of sleeping, he's already asleep. And looks like
Oh.
Jerome needs to go to sleep too.
Well, on that note, talking about our horror movies that we created and ultimately what scares us, I think that's pretty fitting. That's not too off topic. That last discussion that we had there. Tell
Pets are
us,
scary.
right? They are. Audience, tell us what your dream horror movie would be. If you could write a horror movie right now, produce it, and send it to theaters, what would it look like? Let us know. If you're watching us on YouTube, go ahead and give us a like and subscribe. Go ahead and comment there. And let us know what type of horror movie you would create. If you're listening to us on audio, please give us 5 stars and give us what's the spiel? Give us 5 stars and a rating and review. I think that's how you say it.
Yes.
Yes. And follow us, The First Ones to Die, on all your favorite social media platforms. And you can follow me at Jonathan Keys on Twitter, Instagram, wherever you please. Jerome, where can people find you?
You can find me at NotJeromeRhett on Instagram. And also do check in on the YouTube channel to see all types of extra content that you can't get on the audio streaming platforms. We're talking stuff like video game content, vlogs, book reviews, mini reviews of other shows. Although we haven't been doing any lately just because of solidarity with the strikes and stuff. But, you know, once strikes are over, getting some new mini reviews and things like that. Other just extra stuff that you can't get on Spotify or Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to the podcast at. And of course, film versions of all of our episodes as well. So if you want to see our lovely faces, that's the place to do it. So do go over to the YouTube channel, subscribe at The First Ones to Die, please. And, do all the things. Hit the notification bell, like favorite videos that you like and are your favorites, and all that good stuff. Alex, where can people find you?
You can find me at Alex and Nobody on Instagram and on TikTok, as well as the podcast TikTok, where I do little clips of the episodes we have done, episodes we have. Wait, I got this. Ooh, we're all off our game, apparently. Episodes we have done, upcoming episodes, other things we have done, such as like the little mini reviews and just random stuff. The last TikTok I posted, you can see me fighting a spider at 2 a.m. I banged on my ceiling like twice trying to get him. It was a big spider.
Do you have anybody above you?
Yeah.
Oh.
I hit the ceiling hard with the Swiffer. So come look at that. You can hear the fear in my voice since we're talking about horror films. Apparently fighting one little spider, my perfect horror film. So there we go. But you can catch us there and all our social media platforms. And then we will see you all next week when we're talking about... Anybody know? Or we're doing still a surprise?
We're
Nobody's looked ahead at the calendar.
In the spirit of, it being October, we're doing spooky month. We're also going to be talking about responses to being possessed. What are going to be the ways that you should respond? If God forbid your loved
get
one
possessed, or like I get possessed.
You know what? That's for the audience to find out next week when we do the episode. To find out in what context are we talking
we don't know
possession.
Yet.
No, we know, but y'all don't know. And the only way to find out is to come back next week to get you some more of this podcast goodness.
Sure, let's put it that way. We're totally in the know, right, Jonathan? We got this. We know.
Right.
We know exactly what's happening.
I can list off the next 18 topics.
Right. We got it.
Anyway, that's all we've got for you folks. So have a good day, good night, good afternoon, whenever you are listening to this podcast, and we will see you next week. Bye.
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 Go on over to the YouTube channel at The First Ones to Die to see all the fun stuff we got going on here, like mini reviews, book reviews, gaming videos, vlogs, all types of stuff.
Please follow us at The First Ones to Die everywhere. Go ahead and give us a like and subscribe.